Thank you very much for an opportunity. Esteemed delegates, good morning to you. What I'm going to do is to give you an overview of the climate change and its effect from the fishery sector. Namibian fisheries form part of the Benguela current large marine ecosystem that is known for its high productivity and abundance of fish biomass. The fishing industry is an important sector within the socio-economic sphere of Namibia. After mining, the fishing industry in Namibia is Namibia's second biggest export earner of foreign currency. It is also the third largest economic sector in terms of contribution to the gross domestic product (GDP) globally. Namibia ranks among the top 10 fishing countries in terms of the value production or productivity. The overall export value of fishing in 2015-2016 was about 10 billion. I say 10 billion. Where, if converted from the various foreign currencies received, and the industry provides direct employment to about 14,000 people, with women comprising an important part of the workforce, especially in processing factories. So the industry mainly procures locally and hence contributes to the government goal of equitable wealth distribution from our fisheries to all Namibians, so to say. In other words, besides the marine captures fisheries, Namibia also has a small but vibrant aquaculture sector. Marine aquaculture enterprises currently produce abalone, oysters, mussels, and seaweed in litteries, sea lagoons, and salt ponds of Walvis Bay and Swakopmund. Now, the inland capture fisheries exist in the northeast and northwest of Namibia, where various types of tilapia species and catfish are harvested from rivers and floodplains. Commercial freshwater aquaculture of tilapia and catfish is also undertaken, meaning that we have got businesses of individual people who are trying to sort of create this undertaking, or little factory, or whatever we should call economic spin-offs within their own industry. They're doing these things. So Namibia's coastal towns are largely dependent on fishing sectors or activities, be in an industrial or recreational. A large number of tourists enjoy fishing-related activities, as well as frequenting the many restaurants with our fish on their menus. However, some of the fisheries and fishing communities already experience the consequences of scarcity, over-exploitation, and degradation ecosystem. The ongoing increase of the accumulation of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere is a driving global climate change process. The impact of this on the global climate change system are complex, of course, multifaceted and uncertain, with too many variables to predict exact future scenarios. We do not know what is going to happen because what we are experiencing is already difficult to understand for us. So the consequences for sustainable of fisheries and mariculture is less uncertain to us. According to research done by the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, there is a trend of warmer sea surface temperature over the last 30 years in northern Benguela ecosystem, which could be a contributory factor in the observed reduction in some of our fish stocks. Also, measurements taken in the Litteridge Harbour has revealed evidence of sea level rise. In the Balvis Bay area, the mariculture industry has been affected by the increase and prolonged instances of harmful algae bloom and red tide. You have seen what happens to the oysters at some point. So, an anticipated increase in average summer wind stress can potentially lead to the enhanced productivity, but may also lead to increased turbulences and offshore advection, enhancing in situ production of the oxygen depleted waters with an increased risk of hydrogen sulfate eruptions. A reduction in the coastal upwelling from the cool production upwelling system to warm tropical low productive system could have disastrous effects on the fisheries commercial stocks, which are in this case likely to undergo irreversible stock reduction and therefore potential yield declines. Management of the fisheries would have to be flexible and adaptive to deal with such a changing system. Therefore, these indicators of change demonstrate the agency for assessing the vulnerability of different fisheries and fishing communities to undergoing climate change and vulnerability, as well as to take the necessary steps to increase the resilience of those considered most vulnerable, meaning that we will have to change our lifestyle if we are to want to live within our means, given the climate change. So Namibia has adopted a national policy on climate change in 2011. This was in response to the fact that Namibia is recognized as one of the countries most vulnerable to the impact of climate change. Within this policy, it is well documented that Namibia's marine fisheries rely on the nutrients-rich upwelling system, and thus that the system is threatened by possible changes charges brought by climate change. The project Enhancing Climate Change Resilience in the Benguela Current System is a combined effort by the Benguela Current Commission, the government of Angola, Namibia, and South Africa, FAO, and the Global Environment Facility, GEF. So the goal of the project is to build resilient and reduce the vulnerability to climate variability and change of the nature of the marine fisheries and mariculture sector within the BCLME. Through strengthening adaptive capacity and implementing participatory and integrated strategies in order to ensure food and livelihood security. Climate change and variability impact have not yet been addressed in the regime in a concrete manner, Although the region has benefited from extensive research on the biophysical and biological conditions of the Benguela current system, there is limited knowledge, understanding of the impact of climate change and the vulnerability of fisheries and fisheries-dependent communities. This is one of the key barriers in or concrete adaptation in the fisheries sector. The project has been structured into three interlinked technical components. One component of one which aims to ensure that national and regional policies and plans give the consideration, including well-defined actions, to the likely implication of climate change and variability. Two, to put adaptation actions into practice in selected highly vulnerable fisheries and communities in order to bring about measurable improvement to the policies in the pilots and to learn for application on a wider scale. And lastly, to increase both awareness and capacity to enable and promote a proactive, forward-looking approach to climate change. Three of these components will be supported by a cross-cutting monitoring, evaluation, and adaptation learning component. The component will ensure a systematic monitoring and evaluation of progress towards the achievement of the objectives. Then, just to conclude, to highlight having highlighted what we are experiencing as a sector, we feel that this discussion, this forum, will keep on monitoring the socio-economic effect and impact of the climate change and the fishing sector. Therefore, this forum should just not discuss, but should create activities that would put to rest some of the factors that are contributing to the climate change within our lifetime. I thank you.